Yes, I am recording.
Delightful. Hello and welcome
Have
to
no
Well,
fear.
There's Your Problem, the first podcast not only to be listened to, but also recorded at 2 times speed.
Yes, welcome to Well, There's Your Problem, a podcast we record 3 times for a safety factor of 3.
Never let it be said we don't suffer for our art.
Yeah.
This is a slightly different format than we originally intended, owing to the regrettable death of our guest.
Yeah. Rest in power. We shall not see his like again. Yeah.
Yes.
We'll miss you, Riley.
So, anyway, welcome to Well, There's Your Problem, a podcast about engineering disasters. I'm Justin Rosniak. My pronouns are he, him. You can find me on the Twitter at do-not-eat-1. And those are all the things I'm going to say.
Hello, Alice Caldwell Kelly, pronoun she, her. Listen to podcast Trash Future that I'm on. Also with my co-host Riley Quinn, who is going to be on this one, and then unfortunately died of... Yeah, just died.
Unfortunately killed by a USB connector. Death by Focusrite.
Very, very unfortunate. Yeah.
Thanks to nothing, Apple.
We're all heartbroken, but we go on regardless.
The show must go on.
That's right. Liam.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I am 3 times, 3 for 3. I am Liam Anderson. I am at Oldman Anderson on Twitter. My pronouns are he and him. And by and large, you can just find me being a dick in our YouTube comment section and getting real mad about national security on Twitter because I don't have, anything interesting to say.
That's interesting.
Thank you. Oh, congratulations, Roz, on knowing your own Twitter handle this time.
I usually forget that one, yeah.
Roz, what episode number is this?
It's probably 13.
Oh, fuck.
Well, there's your problem.
Yeah, that's why we've been having the problems where we have to record this 3 times in a row.
Yeah, I'm going to call it episode 12A.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Yeah, episode 13 is a utility episode. You can't get the elevator directly there.
It's a secret episode 13. Yeah. You just have to keep putting in random YouTube URLs until you get to
it. You gotta press like episode 4 and episode 10 and then episode 3 times in quick succession, and then it'll clip through to episode 13.
It has one of those keyed buttons on the elevator.
Yes.
You know? Yes. You only get it with the key, or if you have the fire mode key, you just push the button. All right. So anyway, today's going to be our first episode about planes.
People been demanding this. The mode of transport we know least about.
Yes. I don't know anything about planes.
And boy, howdy, are we going to show it. Oh, you know all about the L-1011, you fucking weirdo.
I do know about the L-1011, but that's not what we're talking about, because the L-1011 was good and not an engineering disaster.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, that's going to be Well, There Isn't Your Problem, our sister podcast about engineering successes.
Yes.
It's 1 episode long.
Stuff that worked. Very short list. Okay, so there's a bunch of planes here in the parking lot, right?
Little Model UN there.
Yeah, you got Turkey. You got
Iceland.
More Turkey, Iceland. You have
American. Or is that United?
I don't know what Sunwing is. That's American, yeah.
Sunwing, wasn't that a cheap Canadian airline, I want to say?
That's what I usually associate with Canada is
Sun. Yeah. I've been to Newfoundland.
So, anyway, so these planes are not supposed to be there, right? These planes are supposed to be in the sky where planes live.
Yeah, doing their natural diet of ingesting birds for sustenance.
I love doing the same joke 3 times. It gets funnier every time.
Genuinely, I think that like the second time we were a bit more low energy, and then it did the thing where it came back around again, and now it's funny to me again.
So anyway, today we're going to talk about the 737 MAX.
Famously a good plane.
Yes. So we're going to start by talking about the Boeing Corporation, right? A little bit about So it was founded in 1916 by William Boeing, right? Bill Boeing.
Big Bill Boeing. Yeah, it's triple
Fucking
B.
hobbit. That man is a hobbit. He has a hobbit's name.
That's why he built big planes, so he could feel big about himself. Thanks for nothing, Bill. You dick.
That's why the fuselages are round like a hobbit door.
His name was actually Bill Bow, but then he decided that the company should be Boeing because it bows.
Bilbo Boeing.
What is their Lego space ass logo though?
I'm still confused about like the ramp.
So you get air.
It's like a Soviet aircraft
So
carrier.
I assumed that was supposed to be a B-2 bomber.
Ah, so it's like a wing. I see. So you get like air and space because you have like orbit thing there.
Boeing didn't make the B-2. That's why I was always confused, because that was Northrop Grumman.
The stealing valor in their logo, yeah. I don't know. I think it looks like that Kazimir Malevich, the like red wedge.
Yeah, it does kind of remind me of that. So anyway, founded 1916 in Seattle by William Boeing. Right now, they produce pretty much all the commercial aircraft that Airbus doesn't make. Right. There's a couple little manufacturers like Embraer and Bombardier.
Goddamn French.
Is it Bombardier or Bombardier, or is it both?
It's both.
Is it both?
Oh, I'm saying Bombardier.
It probably is. You probably have to say both. You probably have to like say Bombardier, and then the French people get mad at you, and you have to be like Bombardier.
This is a bilingual podcast.
Oh, that's true.
Except I don't know French, so.
Well, if it was Bombardier, wouldn't there be an accent?
I have no idea.
It would be like a little accent over the E. It's Bombardier.
I don't know.
Sorry, I've broken Justin. We know so little about planes. We can't even put them into the like train good, car bad thing. We're like train goods, car bad, horse chaotic, neutral. The plane.
Drool starts coming out of our mouth.
Marks. Yeah. We don't know. We don't know. We didn't go to like school for this. The thing. It's a big metal bird that goes in the sky. That's terrifying.
It is terrifying, yes. Oh, Boeing did try and make a few trains, and they sucked at it. Did the U.S. standard light rail vehicle for Boston and San Francisco, which they tried to unify the order so it would work in both cities, and it worked in neither of them.
Perfect.
Oh, it's like you in Quebec.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so tell us about Airbus then. So we've got these like two houses alike in dignity here.
So, sort of the difference between Boeing and Airbus, right, and sort of design philosophy has always been that, Airbus, like this big Emirates A380 here, right, they tend to design the plane in such a way that, there's lots of automated systems, right? There's lots of times when the plane will decide that the pilot's input is wrong and just override it, or they tend to design planes that try to fly themselves.
Yeah, the guy, the flight designer, said that he wanted to design a plane that his concierge could fly, and because of that, French airline pilots started like threatening to kill him, and he had to have like police protection and stuff, which is just incredible. Chad move.
Aggressively French.
Yeah,
yes.
You want to make my job slightly easier? I will literally murder you. That's the kind of labor organization energy I want to see in 2020. That and the French nuclear power plant workers being like, yeah, okay, you can refuse our demands. Here's a photo of us and our off button for the nuclear power station.
Oh, oui.
Yeah, je turn off the nuclear power station.
Goddamn French nanny state.
Le power atomique?
No, le power atomique. Not for me, not for anyone. You say, back in the dark ages.
We're delirious from recording this 3 times.
We're all losing it. It's like, yeah, it's absolutely like we're fucking delusional off of this. Okay, so if Airbus are the like wearing blackface to work and like drawing pictures of the Prophet Muhammad, like Euro bullshit, then that must make Boeing the like Anglos, right?
Harbinger of freedom.
Yeah.
Yes. So on a Boeing aircraft, unlike an Airbus aircraft, but such as this Iran Air 747.
Mm.
The plane owned by the good guys.
Especially like contrasted with Emirates, Jesus.
Yeah, I picked these for a reason.
Mm.
So on a Boeing aircraft, generally speaking, is designed with the sort of philosophy that the pilot always has final say over what the aircraft does, right?
It's very like militarized and fetishistic, like Chuck Yeager, the pilot in command, who's like gonna like fucking fly the machine and like do the thing, as opposed to the Airbus, which is just like as a computer. He says that you fly.
Yeah, this is very, very much the just wanted to tell you all good luck. We're all counting on you.
Yeah, when you like fly this plane, you have to do the Chuck Yeager voice when you're doing announcements. Otherwise, it doesn't work. You have to like do the kind of like slight drawl.
Passengers, this is your captain speaking.
Do they teach them to do that? Is there like a school somewhere that's like when you like want to speak slowly, just say in between?
I wonder if they have something in pilot school that's similar to what they used to do for ESPN broadcasters, or they would basically attempt to just knock the regionalisms out of them, which is why like a bunch of American sportscasters all like sound kind of off because they were trained for years to get rid of any accent or just for total standardization.
Yeah, that's probably it. Like, there's probably even like it's probably safer because like easier to talk to air traffic control and everything when everyone has the same accent. But like, imagine how jarring it would be to get on a plane and hear like Minnesota nice coming from the cockpit. Just viscerally sort of traumatic and wrong.
Well, yeah, because then the pilot pulls at Amy Klobuchar and just starts flinging staplers at your head.
This is your captain speaking. We're going to experience a little bit of turbulence coming up. Oh, there it is.
Duck!
Yeah, your stewardess will be through with a hot dish.
All right, so wow, we lost Riley and we're going even slower this time around.
God damn it!
All right, the Chad Boeing and the Virgin Airbus, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the Boeing aircraft in question. Let's talk about the Boeing 737, right?
Ah, delightful. This is you can tell this is from the age of aviation, where like the pilot is 6 martinis in, everybody's like smoking, like everyone is carrying a suitcase that weighs 500 pounds because it's made just out of pure like reinforced leather, and somebody's about to demand that the plane go to Cuba.
Get a nice vacation in sunny Havana with 109 of your closest friends.
Absolutely. This was the golden age, right? Like flying got more dismal after this.
Yeah, so this was this shows the Boeing 737 original on its maiden flight. This is April 9th, 1967. You can see it has old-fashioned, just regular jet engines, as opposed to like new turbofans, which are more efficient. No, this is the old-fashioned stuff.
It's just a big tube. Just suck the air through.
Yeah, suck the air through, add fuel, spew it out the back.
Didn't it was like that Delta flight. They didn't combust the fuel, it just shot fuel out of the back.
Rolling coal.
Extremely inefficient, yeah.
What's complete combustion?
Alright, so you have this like plane that's being propelled by like fucking chemtrails of like jet fuel out of the back.
Chemtrails are real.
Yeah, it turns out, back when it was leaded kerosene, so that's basically chemtrails.
Yeah, this is the plane that like kind of killed the world, though. Like, not just because it sprayed jet fuel on everyone and made them Republicans, but because this is like the short haul plane, right? Instead of you don't anymore go to a big airport and fly to another big airport. You take a short haul flight from like a place you don't want to go to another place you don't want to go to. Like fucking, I don't know. What's an airport that's only international because it flies to Canada?
HIA, Harrisburg International Airport.
Yes, that's the kind of thing. Or like you fly to like from Glasgow to, I don't know, like Manchester or something, and it takes 15 minutes and it's dismal. But at least you're not on a train like some kind of peasant.
To be fair, I once did. I mentioned this. The Celtic FC morning special from Dublin to Glasgow. I think we were in the air for a grand total of about half an hour, and it was on a turboprop, so at least they know what they were doing.
Yeah, very progressive.
Passengers, this is your captain speaking. Thank you for joining us on this scheduled flight from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We will be touching down.
They do that flight. That flight exists.
We will be touching down in approximately 45 minutes. Please prepare for takeoff. And I would like to ask the stewardess to please bring me 3 martinis that I'll consume over the duration of this flight.
Yeah, and she's just like wearing a skirt that goes up to like nowhere the whole time. Everyone's drunk. Everyone's like setting fires with discarded cigarettes.
Yeah, that was glamorous, Alice. Duh.
yeah.
Classless.
So anyway, the Boeing 737 was designed to fill a sort of niche between that. Well, a niche that the Boeing 707 and the 727 couldn't, fill, which was short haul flights, on these dumb routes that shouldn't exist, and it was a roaring success, right? This was in production for a very long time, but it is still, it was in production until recently. So after the Boeing 737 Classic, we started adding new technology to these planes, right? So we have the next one is the 737 Classic, right? And that's when we start adding these new turbofan engines, right? And the turbofans are more efficient. You can tell a 737 because it has these flattened bottoms to the fairings, right? Because they didn't have enough room to do a fully circular fairing.
And,
right?
and they could do that then, because by then they had like CNC machines, whereas before that, like the 737 Classic was designed by a guy with a slide rule and like a lathe who was also drunk.
This is 1/16 of an inch. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, this is the 737 Classic. I am almost certain that if you go wandering through the manuals, uses an RCH as a measurement of length. Just.
So yeah, I mean, the old one is just people beating sheet metal with hammers. Now we have more better metalworking techniques. So
yeah, you can get a machine to like beat the metal with hammers really quickly.
Still does this thing where the landing gear folds in and the tire is just exposed to the elements.
That's fine.
Yeah, well, even the new ones do that.
That's fine. Yeah, if you're only in the air for 45 minutes, it's fine.
What's the worst that's gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like tires react, in strange ways to rapid increases and decreases in temperature.
No.
Right?
No. Nope.
So yeah, we got the new turbofan engines, right? And these were in production for a long time until 1997 when the next 737 came out. It was called 737 Next Generation.
Awesome.
Everyone's seen this joke 3 times now.
Yeah, and I'm the only one making an effort, but I genuinely do find it funny.
I enjoyed it. I wasn't disputing that.
Yeah, you enjoyed it the first 2 times.
Yeah, I will say, it's good. It's good. I love it. You're doing terrific, Roz.
Thank you. So the Boeing 737 Next Generation, right, they redesigned the wing. They add these winglets here.
No, those things I hate, because you can see the end of the wing go up and down.
Yeah, no, thank you. No,
you just put the window shade down. I don't need to, like, it may be technically stronger that it's able to, like, flex like that. I don't want to see it. I'm just sitting there sweating and, like, white-knuckling airline rum and cokes on my 45-minute flight to Harrisburg.
You leave Harrisburg alone.
You could have spent less money and taken Amtrak, but that's also like the part your time is really inconvenient. It's annoying.
I hate when I look out the window of my Amfleet car and see the wing flexing.
It's reassuring, Alice.
One of the design philosophy behind the Amfleet car was, they were like, oh, well, people like airplanes, let's make a passenger car that seems like is round like an airplane and has tiny windows like an airplane.
You're right. That is what I wanted.
Of course,
Yeah,
the first generation of amphitheaters, they had to retire because those square windows just, depressurized like that.
So, so they redesigned the wing. They got more efficient engines, right? Still turbofans, right? They have higher maximum takeoff weight, so you can handle more passengers. You can make the plane bigger. All this stuff. It's still basically the same aircraft.
Yeah, they're just patching it. They're doing like it's a Boeing 737 version, like 1 point whatever.
Yeah.
Yes. And then one fun fact about these airplanes, since we're talking about trains too, Boeing 737s are, I believe, the only aircraft which travel by train as part of their production process, right?
Huh. So they're good then, because they
yeah.
Yeah.
So, why fly when you can take the train?
Just doing the like math here on train good, plane confusing, plane train good.
Goodish.
It's interesting because there was I believe one of the train loads of 737 Maxes actually derailed and fell down an embankment. It was like that's a pretty expensive piece of cargo to lose.
That's fine. Like this does look though like a kind of a shitpost you would come up with for what flying should look like. It's just like
Yes.
this is it in the dictatorship that we all institute. This is what taking an airplane flight looks like. Is you just get into this airplane body that is just like loaded onto a flatbed.
So another fun fact. So these 737s are going for final assembly in the Renton, Washington Boeing plant, right? It's sort of that Pacific Northwest, sort of near Seattle-ish, right? And Renton is a fully unionized plant. If you've heard recently about Boeing hiring non-union workers, that was at their new South Carolina plant where the 787s were assembled, and I believe they're now unionizing that plant. But the Renton plant is interesting because it has one of the very few engineers unions, right? So there's the Society of Professional Engineers in Aerospace, right? The SPEEA, right?
But Amy Therese taught me that like engineers are part of the professional managerial class and shouldn't be in unions because you should only be in a union if you like hit the thing with the hammer.
I need to reset the days without Amy Therese
That's
showing up
true.
on the timeline counter too right now, and now everyone else needs to reset theirs as well.
Living rent free in my head. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
So one of their slogans when they were on strike, was like, or agitating for better labor conditions, was "No nerds, no birds."
It's good. I like that.
But go birds.
It's cool. You don't usually think of engineers as being, a group with any kind of labor, solidarity, but it can be done.
So it travels by train. It's built with union labor. What is there not to like about this plane? Why are we doing an episode on why it's good? Why is there a problem?
So after the Boeing 737 next generation, Boeing decided we need to spice things up, right? Because Airbus was coming up with a new, more efficient Airbus plane that was designed to compete with the 737, right?
Yeah, it was the new engine option, the Neo, because that's they thought it would be cool to call it that, I guess.
Yeah, the CEO just watched The Matrix and was like, yeah,
yeah,
that seems cool. I want to be like that guy.
Yeah, Airbus's chief test pilot's just two really like albino guys in white suits with dreadlocks. Just awesome. Epic, dude.
We must build a plane like this.
They came out with the Boeing 737 MAX, right? Now, one of the characteristics of this plane is to increase efficiency. What they did was they made the engines more bigger, right?
They look more bigger. Like, look at the size of them compared to the old ones. That's a giant fucking. They've literally just taken that engine off of a longer haul jet and just bolted it onto the wing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And in order to do that, since the Boeing 737, as we saw before, doesn't have a lot of ground clearance, that's why they had to do the weird fairings, right, with the flat bottom. They had to mount the engines a little further forward, right, in order to have enough space to put them, right? Now, thing is that alters the handling characteristics of the aircraft, right? So it has more of a tendency to pitch up in certain situations. So, in some situations, right?
Yeah, that thing that you
Right,
don't
as
want to
opposed-
do because then you stall and you crash the airplane.
Yeah, you don't want to stall and crash the airplane. That's bad.
Yeah, so you want to keep the nose down. So how do you go about doing that?
So the smart thing to do would be to retrain pilots. You'd say, look, we should get you in the simulator here, and what you should do is say, all right, here are the situations where this 737 handles differently from earlier 737s, right? But that's expensive, right?
Yeah, we don't like doing expensive stuff.
Yes. So what Boeing's executives decided, is that so they wanted to market this as basically the same aircraft as it was before. They're like, what we can do is we can have computers solve this problem.
No. Well,
that's fucking ironic. The time that Boeing gets owned, it's the one time that they act against type and do something that Airbus would have done and be like, oh, we just have a computer do the thing.
That's what happens when you adopt the mannerisms of the French.
But like, also, this being the same plane, that's a headache too, because if it's a different plane, you've got to like recertify it and everything, and you've, I guess, got to put a new number on it so it's not a 737 anymore. So you kind of have to be like, yeah, it's the same basically. We just moved. It's just fine. It's the same thing.
Hold on a second. Did Liam drop out?
This is the episode that kills co-hosts. The lights go out. We hear a gunshot. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm next. We don't know.
I would have heard the gunshot. He's 30 feet that way.
What if there was a silencer? You don't know. You didn't think about these things.
That's a good point. Yeah, it could be a very, very good silencer. Oh my god. Liam, are you there?
Liam. I can hear you. What?
Oh, okay. You are there. All right.
Yes. God, fuck.
Well, I was like, I asked if you were there.
I heard, and you slipped into my room and muted my microphone entirely by yourself, and not just me clicking it on accident, frantically trying to figure out why I could hear you and you couldn't hear me.
This episode
it was fucking
is
horrible.
so
cursed episode.
Cursed. Worst episode.
We're cursed. Yeah. So, no, I was making jokes about the French. No one was laughing, which I thought was pretty disappointing. Because, of course, Alice is absolutely right. It's the one fucking time Boeing is just like, it's a good idea, emulating the goddamn French. You know what won the war?
Yeah, we put a blackface generator in the aircraft.
Yeah, right? We get really, really mad about how our of African descent soccer players who won the goddamn World Cup aren't quite French enough. Just the dumbest fucking shit. And then
why is the flight computer on the 737 Max? Why is 90% of its processing time dedicated to like thinking about Kylian Mbappe, like or Didier Drogba?
Well, we also have to address the fact that the fucking onboard computer is too busy doing casual European weirdo racism to compute anything else properly.
Yeah, it's generating all of the Balkan YouTube comments that you see that are just like, Manchester is greater Serbia, and then like a bunch of inexplicable death threats. That's what it's doing while you're up there.
Every time you boot up the plane's computer systems, right? On every screen on the plane, including like in the passenger compartment with the little entertainment systems, it just displays a picture of the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah, Emirates not a huge customer of this one, weirdly.
All right, so now that Liam is back,
I never left, technically.
The worst part is it's gonna be on your recording too, right? Because you muted it on Skype. So there's going to be a recording that Justin's going to have to edit out of, like, you yelling jokes into a void.
Yeah, it's going to turn out the jokes were, like, really good, and I'm not going to... Oh, my God.
They weren't. Don't worry. I'm not especially funny.
Don't put yourself down like that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This is a wholesome podcast.
It is. It's a safe space.
You want me
Yes.
to come in there and give you a hug, or?
No, we got to do work.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right. Moving swiftly on to the catastrophe.
All right. So they decided, in addition to all these other features that we discussed that the computer did, with European characteristics, they created something called the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or the MCAS.
Oh, that sounds safe and not foreboding.
The MCAS. Do they call it an MCAS or an MCAS?
I have no idea. I like MCAS more because it has fewer syllables.
It sounds
Saves
more
time.
piloty to me. So, yeah, let's go with that. The MCAS.
Yeah, because we are, of course, aircraft experts.
We are. We're all doing the pilot voice constantly.
Passengers, this is your podcast host speech. This is your podcast host speaking. We're going to move this conversation along. Outside temperature is about 44 degrees Fahrenheit. That's... No, I have no idea what it is. I'm making a joke about pilot voice.
Just the idea that you have like an information screen that shows you the location and like speed of the podcast.
That's audacity.
Tiny little screen that shows you the map of the area where we are. Goes from Philadelphia to Glasgow.
Yeah, you can watch like fucking Meet the Fockers or something with like all the swearing removed while you listen to this podcast.
Whenever I'm on the airplane, I always watch Airplane. That's like a tradition for me.
Mm.
All right. So, the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System adds some force feedback to the yoke. That's the thing the pilots use to control the plane.
Jesus. No.
Yeah.
That's a thing you do with like cheap
Logitech.
like Logitech. Yes.
Yeah.
You just fuck it. We put a force feedback on here. So like if you like think that you're wearing through this thin shitty plastic, we'll just like have it push back so you don't notice.
If it's good enough for Grid 2, it's good enough for me. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it's
So it's designed to add some force feedback to mimic the flight characteristics of older 737.
It comes the 737 Max comes bundled with a copy of X-Plane.
We'll get to that. Now, this MCAS relied on information from the angle of attack sensor, right? That's the pitot tube, right? It's just something that measures relative air pressures to determine how fast the plane is going and what angle it is, so on and so forth.
It's the part that crashes the plane. It's because like helicopters, right? They'll just kind of crash from anything. But like a big fixed-wing commercial aircraft like this just kind of keeps flying or gliding, pretty much whatever you do to it for a long time. And the pitot tube, which has all of this electronics in it, is like the one part that works like a helicopter, where it like is just like, oh, I don't work anymore. I'm gonna kill everyone.
Yes, and that's the reason why there are usually two on every airplane. Because they're not especially reliable.
No, they're very sensitive. And like off the top of my head, like planes have crashed because a ground crew guy left one covered in tape, and because a colony of wasps started living in like a nest they had built in one of the tubes.
Oh,
you don't, yeah.
Why did he leave the plane sitting that long?
You don't want to be the guy who has to like clean out the wasps from the thing, right? Like,
I'll write a B on this engine so we know there's bees in there.
Yeah. So the thing about the MCAS system is that while there were two pitot tubes on the aircraft, it relied on information from only one of them.
Oh, good.
As you do.
Now, a lot of workers and engineers and so on at Boeing thought this was dumb, but management sort of overrode them. They're like, it's probably fine. Probably nothing will happen, right?
Yeah.
This system was equipped on the Boeing 737 MAX and also the military KC-46 Pegasus tanker.
Oh, right? Good. The thing that's filled with like aviation fuel.
Oh yeah,
just like a big balloon full of kerosene with a big hose coming out the back of it. Also has this problem.
It's not a balloon; it's a plane. Fuel's gotta go places.
A balloon is also a lifting body. This is fine.
This is true.
But I assume that like the plane has like bowsers full of fuel in it, and those are going to be balloon-like in nature. So I'm not wrong. Fuck you.
Oh damn.
All right. So now obviously, so this MCAS system's job is to pitch the nose down and add force feedback, right? So let's see how good it is at doing its job. So the first incident was Lion Air Flight 610, right? This was a 737 MAX 8, right? The 8 was like a sub designation, so this is like a longer airplane than some of the other ones, right? This is October 29th, 2018. There are 189 people aboard, right? So they took off from Jakarta, right?
I hardly know her. Is a no?
I-
Nothing?
Banger?
No,
Jakarta? I hardly know her. Yeah,
okay,
got
okay,
it. All right,
yeah.
cool.
No, that works. That took me a second. I was like,
Yeah. Thank
I
you
was
for
unfamiliar. I was unfamiliar with that formatting of the joke.
Yeah, Jakarta, Maine.
This is a flight from Jakarta, Maine to Bar Harbor. No, this was this plane crashed into the Java Sea 13 minutes after takeoff, right? Because the MCAS got confused, right? And decided, it had unreliable information from one of the pitot tubes and decided the angle of attack was wrong and started forcing the nose down, right?
Because you don't want to stall the plane. And so it just pushes the nose down. That's cool. That's safe. It's a safety feature.
Yeah.
It's a safety feature, yes. It's very safe. Well, the one thing the plane did not do was stall.
There you go. There you go.
Yes, that's true. Maintained powered flight throughout, directly into the ocean.
Yes. Aerodynamically stable.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, Boeing. You automated 9/11. If you could be one thing, you should be efficient. So
The terrorist union just angrily sending death threats.
Yeah, you have to have at least 19 hijackers, and they all have to have like a 5-hour break. I'm just looking at this. The one thing that's really depressing me is the not the 189 people who died so much as the like weird angle on the L of lion. Like it doesn't match the ION.
Oh yeah, it's really weird. Yeah.
Well, there's your problem.
It's like seriously, like did you like the kerning or whatever it is off. It's probably why it crashed.
Yeah, because the pitot tube was sensing the angle of the L, whereas everything else is italic. Yeah, there's your problem.
Yep, that will do it.
The people who are coming here with wanting serious engineering information are going to be really angry at this podcast.
They already are.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. So the pilots struggled against the MCAS force feedback for a while, but they couldn't really overcome it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really know that MCAS was responsible, right? They didn't know they could maybe turn this off.
Yeah, you can't like physically fight it because it turns out that it's like because it's doing force feedback, it pushes down twice as hard as it should be like counteracting the force, right? Because it's expecting the aircraft to be pushing up when it's activated. So if it's just the aircraft's just traveling level, it's going at twice the force it needs to be. And it's just activating like on for 5 seconds, off for 5 seconds, on for 5 seconds, like that. Like one of the articles about it described it as like fighting a rabid dog.
Which is not what you want to do when you're operating a commercial airliner. Yeah.
No, you don't want to install a rabid dog in the in the cockpit. Like if anything, you should have like a nice dog, like an emotional support dog,
like just a nice little dog in the cockpit, and he's like very friendly. Maybe he goes sleeps in a corner. He's very cute. Yeah, but no, this is the wrong type of dog.
Hadn't you mentioned at one point also that the pilots didn't really know what MCAS was or even that it existed in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like buried way in the manual.
Oh, worse. It was never in the manual.
Oh.
Boeing did not acknowledge at the time of this first crash that the MCAS existed at all. Like it was not in any manuals or in any notices given to aircrew because they thought, well, it's never gonna encounter a situation where it's gonna turn on, so they don't need to know about it.
That's a fantastic design philosophy right there. We're going to add this safety mechanism, but we're not going to tell you about it because you're never going to need it.
Yeah.
But that's why we thought we needed to add it, though.
Yeah. It's if it's only going to activate if you like try to stall the plane under a very limited set of circumstances that nobody's ever going to do that in like regular commercial service. So we don't need to tell them. And also, that means that it's still a 737 and we don't have to like
do training or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the same aircraft. We don't have to call it a 738 and because we're kind of running out of numbers there.
Oh yeah, they get the 797 and that's it.
Yeah.
Then they're going to run out of numbers, have to shut down Boeing.
Yeah, they had to stop making planes, yeah.
Have to start using letters, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do the thing that NVIDIA and AMD do where they just pretend those old products just never existed.
Yes.
Or the fucking trend where you just rename a video game the same thing as a video game you already
you do
made.
the soft
Looking
reboot.
at you, Modern Warfare,
Call of Duty, Tomb Raider,
Doom.
Hitman. Yeah, this is just going to be like the 737, and then they'll have to put in brackets 2018.
Okay, so this plane crashed. It murdered everyone aboard. And Boeing tried to blame the pilots.
Of course.
They're inexperienced and underpaid. And also the nice thing about blaming the pilots was that they were dead, so they really couldn't defend themselves, right?
Dead and Indonesian, which helps a lot because like
yes.
the New York Times like long read about this, which is the angriest any newspaper article has ever made me, was very much of the sort of like the opinion that, well, and I use quotes because this is what it says, the Chinese as a race of pilots or whatever learn by rote, unlike the like airmanship having Americans who are all Chuck Yeager and just fly the dang machine. So yeah, no, it's very cynical to be like, oh, you just learn by rote and you just look for the things in the checklists when you have systematically concealed the existence of this thing from the fucking checklists.
I'm just thinking now of an ancient race of Confucian pilots, you know?
Yeah.
My father was a pilot, and his father was a pilot. His father was a pilot before him.
Yeah, every year you have to do the, like, civil service examination where you have to, like, write a bunch of Confucian, heavily formalized essays about, like, startup procedures. Yeah, it was easily like one of the most cynical things I've ever read. It was by a guy called William Langewiesche, who was like a cargo pilot, and it was just so frustrating and insulting. And I highly recommend reading it if you want to like punch holes in your drywall all day.
I often do.
Oh, hell yeah!
So it me, overgrown frat boy.
All right, so Boeing tried to blame the pilots, and they made some headway there, right? Until it happened again.
Did it happen again? Did it happen, say, in a country where we could also just blame, say, the nationality of the pilots rather than the catastrophic failure by an American corporation to do their goddamn jobs properly?
Getting out my skull calipers and like wandering the wreckage in search of like pilot remains to be like, the brain pan here, just doesn't allow for airmanship.
I mean, Boeing is doing their job, which is killing brown people.
That's true.
That is true.
Shit, I wonder if those union nerds also make like Reaper drones, because if they do, then like I feel a lot worse about them.
I think the engineers union only covers the civilian division of Boeing.
Well, that's okay, but yeah, but Boeing as a company, like, it still makes a lot more from the military side than the civilian, right? Like, well, especially after this.
I think it's about 60-40 civilian military.
Yeah, it is almost exactly 60-40.
So Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, right? This is from Addis Ababa to Nairobi. 157 people on the plane.
Both in Maine for some reason.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
On March 10th, 2019, right? So this flight was even shorter than the previous one, right? MCAS activated 2 minutes into the flight. It pitched the nose down, right? Pilots tried to counteract with brute force on the yoke, and then since MCAS was a little bit more known about it at this point, they used a Boeing-approved recovery procedure, right? So they disabled the electric trim, which disabled MCAS. Now, the trim are small control surfaces on the larger control surfaces, which sort of alter their resting position, right?
So like flaps or etc.
Sure.
Yeah, like flaps, elevators, ailerons, so on and so forth, right? Once they disabled the electric trim, that disabled the MCAS, but it also disabled their ability to alter the trim except manually, which meant they needed to use a big crank. Right?
No. Bullshit.
Yeah, no, this is a big hand crank they had to use to alter the trim.
So
Shades of Lockmog Antique, yeah.
I'm thinking of the mine cart that you see with like two guys pumping a big crank to move it down a railroad.
Yeah, basically.
Just inadvertently create transforming this billion-dollar aircraft into a hand cart.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, you get a nice workout out of it
That's Boeing technology right there.
as you're crashing into the ground.
Yeah. Get that core strength.
Well, they didn't have enough core strength because owing to the aerodynamic forces on the trim, right? They couldn't really alter the trim position at all,
Which had been pushed down.
which had been pushed down. Yeah.
And like if you turn the electric trim back on, the MCAS comes on and it pushes it back down again.
Yes.
So you just have to like crank the big crank that you physically can't crank. Damn, should have been stronger. Should have had more gains.
Yeah, that's why you never skip arm day, bro.
I was about to say this is a failure due to lack of swolosity.
They did like as part of Boeing's press thing in response to this. I remember seeing an article that was like, the flight crew on this were both men, but they were like, are women pilots physically strong enough to fly? Because maybe they can't move the crank that these two guys couldn't move.
I mean, maybe you shouldn't add like a hydraulic press that forces the controls into position so that you crash the plane. This is my idea. A little controversial, but like
One would
when
think.
you've turned the cockpit into the hydraulic press channel. All right, so they're like the pilots are like, okay, we got a problem. We need to return to the airport, right? So they ask permission to return to the airport. They start trying to turn the plane around, but they're like, all right, well, we got to turn the electric trim back on because otherwise they can't really maneuver the airplane at all. So they do that. They turn the electric trim back on, and MCAS is like, oh, wow, we're going to stall. I better put the nose down. And did, and it crashed.
Didn't stall, once again.
Once again, did not stall, yes.
So 100% effectiveness.
Yes. MCAS 2 stalls 0. So again, yes, this murdered everyone on the plane once again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, Boeing is kind of up shit creek, right? So it starts with the Chinese grounding the plane. The FAA tried to make an argument that, it's fine, nothing's going wrong here. And then 2 days later, they decided to ground the 737 MAX as well. This is in like March of 2019.
We are all doing Xi Jinping thought on the basis that like the Chinese aviation authorities were quicker on this one.
Yay, regulatory capture.
The FAA is the most cucked regulator though, right? Like aside from maybe the SEC.
Yeah, the SEC basically can't do anything to anyone who decides not. You have to make a conscious decision to get caught by the SEC.
But like the FAA, like if you're an airline as opposed to like just some like Piper Cub driver, you kind of like, what can they really do to you? Like, I guess they can stop you flying your plane eventually after it kills like a couple of hundred people.
Yeah, it killed in total 346 people.
Yikes!
Right?
Yeah.
So one thing that came out in the wash right after these planes were grounded, and they're still grounded to this day, and Boeing has stopped production of them. One thing that came out of the wash is that there was in fact optional extras which would have let the pilots know that MCAS was causing the problem, right? There was DLC that would have fixed the plane.
No.
And that was angle of attack disagree light, right? That would show that the angle of attack sensor that the MCAS relied on was showing a different result than other angle of attack sensors, the two pitot tubes, right?
Jesus fuck.
And that would show that, hey, MCAS is the problem. Maybe you should turn it off, right? But this was an extra feature so budget airlines didn't buy it, right?
No, of course. They also got their parts like cheaper because they got them used. There's a place called Cockroach Corner in Florida, which has a bunch of like essentially just parts bins for commercial aircraft. And this came out in the Boeing press stuff too. They were like, these shady, these fly by night operators. They just buy their parts from anywhere, and it turns out they were buying their parts from, well, Americans, but that never really gets mentioned. But you just get this angle of attack sensor out of a bin somewhere, and you like screw it into the aircraft, and then it's fine, it's cool until
Yep.
it isn't.
It's good.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's good. Put some drywall around it. It's fine.
That's
Yeah.
safe.
Grover plane.
Grover plane.
That's what happens when you try to mount a barbecue on a wing.
Yeah, the cause of the crash is the galley just has a grill in it and it's melting the plastic siding.
So, all right. So the plane killed 346 people in total. This was a massive economic disaster for Boeing, right? They've lost about $20 billion in canceled orders and just a grounding.
Oh no!
And of course, the investors kicked out Boeing's CEO, right? Not over killing a lot of people, but over the lost revenue.
Of course. And that guy's definitely not fine wherever he is. He's that guy died, I think, or is in jail or something.
That's a lot of faith in the American justice system there, bud.
He definitely didn't get like some kind of generous severance package and then go to work for
He didn't get
somewhere.
severance. He didn't get severance. He just left with $80 million in stock options.
Oh well, that's a just punishment, actually.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you know how much? I mean, $80 million isn't a lot of money anymore.
No,
let's get real.
That's like one candy bar, or like a SATA cable.
That's like only 2 penthouses in Central Park West.
Could get some Mentos for that.
Perhaps several Mentos.
Several Mentos, some Diet Coke.
Luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so and Boeing is, well, we'll see how they pull through this. I'm sure with massive government subsidies. I don't think we'll see the death of America's main commercial aircraft manufacturer. I don't think the government would let them go.
No, I mean, I guess this is nice if you're if you're, I don't know, like Northrop Grumman, and you decide, hey, maybe I want to get back into civil aviation. Now might be a nice time for you to do that. And it's great if you're Airbus, because you can just be like, oh, we installed the racist computers more. And like when an Air France flight from Rio de Janeiro to Paris just smacks into the ocean because the computer decides, I feel the ennui. I am dissipated. I crash the plane into the ocean. I kill everyone, the bastards. Then that's fine. You just like muscle through that.
Somehow the computer is smoking.
There is no ethical aircraft manufacturer under capitalism.
It's true, yes.
That's the damn truth.
The last good aircraft was the L-1011.
Oh God.
Anyway, of course, litigation and investigation is still ongoing into these incidents, and I'm sure we'll do maybe a more detailed podcast later when we have more information.
Yeah.
Of course, that is what it is.
No,
Boeing screwed the pooch on this airplane.
Screwed the pooch on this airplane, but got away with it because we live in some very racist times, and you can just so long as you don't kill 350 white people, it's kind of okay, and you can kind of get away with it.
Yes.
Yep.
And then you can call the pilots incompetent. And even when you're proved to have been lying, it doesn't really matter still, and everyone involved still keeps their money and their reputations. And some podcasters make fun of you, and it's
what a hard life it is.
It is. Yes. It is. They must all be so devastated by this.
R.I.P. Boeing, but not really.
Yeah, there's the real casualty here. But several hundred families losing, one or more family members. That's sad, but a manufacturer of planes having to change CEOs that's the kind of tragedy that just sticks with you when you do a podcast like this.
That is true.
We're all going to therapy for this.
Deeply saddened by Yeah, this unfortunate Alistair.
We did say that we were not going to do another tremendously depressing episode, but here we are. Yeah, we're all weeping openly. Yeah,
The changing of the guard.
mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Well, next time we'll have a nice lighthearted episode about the Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster.
Finally, yeah.
Yes.
About time.
So that's the end of the episode. Does anyone have any commercials?
No. Listen to Trash Future. It's a good podcast. We're doing a live show at some point in February. So look out for that. But yeah, that's all I got.
Liam, do you have a commercial?
I guess follow me on Twitter at oldmananderson. And thank you to the people who have been also piling on just dog shit idiots in our comment section on YouTube. Appreciate it.
Thank you for cyberbullying for us.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, just so you know, if your comment gets pinned under any video, that means it's the worst comment. I always pin the worst one. Except I think on the traffic engineering one, because there was a guy who was a traffic engineer just commented to say, "Oh yeah, all this stuff is true," and I was like, "Yeah, this guy's cool." So
yeah, that was the worst comment.
No, he was like a nice person, so that was not the worst comment. So I changed my policy there. But generally speaking, if you get your comment pinned, that means it was a bad comment, and now everyone needs to dunk on you.
Yeah,
okay.
Do better.
Yes, do better at commenting.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's your podcast.
Yes. So my thing to do a commercial about is, so here in Philadelphia, we just started the Philly Transit Riders Union. This is a coalition this is a union made of both transit riders and transit operators. And we're meeting on the third Sunday of every month. We'll stick to information about that in the description of the video. If you are a Philadelphia transit rider and you're tired of being considered like a second-class citizen, compared to like drivers, I recommend you join the union. One of our campaigns right now is we want to do something about SEPTA converting Route 15 from an electric trolley into a diesel bus, which is, of course, happening tomorrow, which is the January 24th. So, I mean, if you're interested in better transit in the Philadelphia region, you should come to our meetings. That's my commercial.
Tram good, bus bad.
Bus less good, yeah.
Bus less good, yes. Diesel bus, very much less good.
Especially when you're replacing an electric trolley with the diesel bus.
Bus less good.
They're saying they may not get new trolleys in until 2031. I'm like, Port Richmond's going to be underwater in 2031.
You're not even doing the thing Glasgow did when we got rid of our trams, where we replaced them with a trolley bus for a year and then decided that was a dog shit idea and we were just going to do diesel buses.
Well, SEPTA says they're going to temporarily suspend trolley operations for 18 months. Now, the last time they did this was when they temporarily suspended trolley bus operations for 18 months, and that 18 months lasted 5 years. We need public pressure on these guys to just not be complete clowns about this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my commercial. And then other than that, follow my Twitter and watch my YouTube channel. The videos are coming soon. I swear. Yeah. I swear to God. Swears and realties.
We have our second Patreon episode coming on the subject of Liam's van with Riley Quinn from Trash Future,
who is unfortunately deceased.
Who is unfortunately, yes, died of USB-C.
Yes. All right. So I think that's all the things.
I think so. Yes.
All right. It only took 3 tries.
Yeah.
Only took 3 tries and declaring it podcast 12A.
Yeah. We absolutely have to number it 12A.
I'm calling it 12A.
Yes.
We did it. We did it. We finally did it.
Bye, everyone.